Hello, I'm Mary Fineman. I'm a composer, singer-songwriter, pianist, orchestrator, and teacher. On any given day or year, I shuffle those cards. And right now I want to bring in one more card though, since my garden is also my art and it nourishes my music. So before I tell you about my work in this show, I need to lead you down the garden path. Are you ready? This is my November garden. It's a shade garden with some plants that are still in their heyday and others already in a state of rest and renewal or decay even. The plant I was inhaling is Luculia, and it has an amazing tropical fragrance. Much of the work I do, writing and performing, feels like the garden. There are all different states happening simultaneously. In a garden, there's a chance to be present and see the small things, the things right before your eyes that you almost missed, and things that just showed up that you maybe didn't even plant. There's also an opportunity, maybe a requirement even, to tolerate some chaos. This area of my garden has a bench at the end of the path, and that gives a sense of order and destination. In writing music, though, that's not quite the case for me. I certainly don't begin with a firm destination. And wherever I thought that bench might be, like page 3, it turns out that it's moved somewhere else. It's all the way on page 10 before I get to a point of rest. And with many variations to boot. Who even knew there would be a page 10? But if I think about it, it's really not so different from the garden. The garden usually makes clear the structure and order that it needs, regardless of what I want to impose on it. My two pieces in the show probably seem very different from each other. I'll talk a little bit about Everyday Secrets, which is a song I wrote probably more than 10 years ago. The poetry or lyrics of Everyday Secret comes from the vantage point of looking back and reckoning with choices made and reckoning with regret. But at the same time, there's a delight in those choices and in the seemingly small things that are witnessed and experienced. A whole other delight for me is that Deborah Collins translated this song into another medium and created an original, beautiful piece of art that you'll see. It is an amazing paper cut, also called Everyday Secrets. And for the video, she's managed to meld her work and mine together. Savlanut is my other contribution for this show. I wrote it fairly recently, though, before 2020. Savlanut's a Hebrew term that in modern Hebrew translates very simply as patience. But it's a kind of a juicy word, and there's a little more to it than that simple translation. I encountered this term while engaged in study of a Jewish spiritual practice called Musar with a wonderful teacher, Estelle Frankel. Musar is a lifelong study and practice, so I'm just scratching the surface here, really, to say that savlanut or patience can be considered foundational soul traits or character traits. But Estelle had a really astonishing further definition of patience. It's the ability to tolerate or endure the present moment. It's the willingness to stay with what is uncomfortable. As it turns out, I was actually already writing this music when I learned this term. And I saw that the piece was also a kind of confrontation and reckoning with its own impatience. I won't dissect this much now, except to say that in the beginning, the music is a little willing to just stay and be. But what it really wants is to be somewhere else. This piece is uncomfortable within itself and pretty much wants to be anywhere but where it is. When the music does have the patience to just be, there's beauty and strength that are uncovered, and the music gets the chance to just go on its journey without the need for any distraction. Being able to stay in the present moment is not easy for any of us, certainly not easy for me, but it enables us to experience all of life, the beautiful November garden, the November garden that's in disarray. And maybe that way we find whatever is sacred in our lives, as well as the peace we so desire.